Hey guys, this is the Xerxes Pi, and underneath the fan here is a Radxa CM5. Not sure if you could pick up the noise of the fan, but because the Radxa CM5 is actually based on the CM4 carrier board compatibility, there's no fan control on the module itself, like the CM5 has, like the actual Raspberry CM5 has. It's going to be really confusing because the Raspberry CM5 is actually designed a little bit differently to the Radxa CM5. And we could see these differences in the way that the fan is controlled. So I just wanted to show that the Radxa CM5 is compatible with the Xerxes carrier board. But the fan, as far as pulse width modulation goes, is currently, it basically stays in the on state without the increase and decrease in fan speed based on load. We're trying to rectify that and see if there's a way that we can control it by using both the CM4 and the CM5 method for controlling pulse width modulation on fan. That may be in the upcoming prototype. So what I'm going to do now is conduct some stress tests using the Xerxes Pi carrier board to test the Radxa CM5 performance. And we're going to do that in terminal. So here I've got my desktop. I've got two terminals open. This is in macOS. On the bottom, I've already got a connection with my local Xerxes Pi with the Radxa CM5. And on the top, I'm just going to connect so you can see how I'm going to SSH in. So this is on my local network. This IP number is not going to mean anything to anyone, but this is the default Radxa CLI operating system that's based on Debian. And you can grab that from their website. Let me see if I've got it open. Yeah, I've got it actually open here. So I'm going to shrink the screen. So on Radxa's website, you can go over here to Radxa CM5. Under Radxa OS, Install OS, it'll tell you exactly how you could download the specific Radxa operating system. Now you go to download summary to download it, and it might be a little confusing because it's under images, but they don't mean like pictures. They mean operating system images. And the one that I downloaded is the CM5 Lite on RPi CM4 IO. And I'll explain what this means later, but it basically means that you're running the Radxa CM5 with the SD card, and you're running it on a carrier board that's configured for CM4. So the Xerxes Pi is actually configured for both CM4 and CM5. So it'll run optimally when you put a CM5 on it, and it'll run optimally when you put a CM4 on it. And the reason why we did that was specifically actually for the Radxa, because the Radxa compute module is so awesome that we just definitely wanted to make sure that that worked optimally. And what the CLI image basically means is that it's just the command line interface image or the terminal image, or it basically means there's no desktop. So it's a very streamlined, built for kind of headless servers like the Raspberry, like the Xerxes Pi is. So that's, you download this and then you follow the instructions on how to install it. And you can find all of this information at docs.radxa.com. And I'll put the link in the description of this video. So back to here, I'm going to SSH into this local IP. And the default password is Radxa. Default username is Radxa. I haven't changed anything at all. All right, so what I'm going to do is perform the stress test on the top and do HTOP on the bottom. So I'm going to start HTOP first, because if you don't start HTOP first, you're going to get a lot of lagging, because the stress test, it basically maximizes stress on all CPUs. So I'm going to run HTOP right now on the bottom. I probably should have put HTOP on the top, but I've got on the bottom. Now we could see here that we've got 8 CPUs and very minimal activity going on them. Now here, so I've already done this, and here I've tested it for an hour before I did this video, but instead of 1 hour, let's change it to, let's do 60 seconds. Okay, so what this is going to do is it's going to perform a stress on all 8 CPUs. So you can see CPU 8, and it's going to do it for 60 seconds. And so once I hit enter here, you should see, see, we've got all 8 of the CPUs just maxed out. And you can see there that it's starting to really take a lot of stress. Okay, while this is happening, I'm just going to explain something about the reason why there's a differentiation between CM4 and CM5, and that is because when the Radxa CM5 came out, there was no Raspberry Pi CM5, and so Radxa was kind of jumping the gun a little bit with how they named, they named it CM5, when really it's operating on the CM4 power architecture. And so when the actual Raspberry Pi CM5 came out, there was some incompatibility between that power architecture that the Radxa CM5 has and the new power architecture that the actual Raspberry Pi CM5 is using. And so for that reason, it could be a little bit confusing, because the older CM4 carrier boards actually perform better with the Radxa CM5 than the new CM5 carrier boards. So that could be a little bit frustrating and confusing for users, but with our Xerxes Pi, that's actually optimized for both CM4 and CM5. And so here we can see, as demonstrated, that it's able to take stress on all CPUs and still perform really well. And you can read up the docs on what the stress command line is actually doing. And I'll leave that link in the description as well if you guys are interested in doing a deeper dive into that. I don't want to make this video too long, so I'm going to leave it at that. But that was a demonstration of the Radxa CM5 compute module. And this one has 16 gigabytes of RAM. Running on the Xerxes Pi carrier board under load. Thank you very much. See you guys later.